Emily Roquette, and you're watching Amplify.
So we work with visionary entrepreneurs who have created a big opportunity, primarily those who have already solved lead generation and conversion, maybe not all of the delivery, not all of the scale, but they know how to create a customer. And we work with them to give them the tools and the processes to build a team and build an organization with a real foundation. And if it's somebody who wants to build a team the right way, we work with them to be able to do that so that they can lean into their strengths, stop worrying about their weaknesses, and build an empire. Because the fact is, entrepreneurs only feel comfortable when they built the business big enough that they really feel that foundation. They feel that business is there to support them and they're there to support the business.
Well, I know how impactful the work that you and your team are doing because I've benefited from it. It's just made a massive impact for me. And the biggest thing that just gave me so much relief is to hear someone like you talk about the fact not only is it okay to build a team, but you should, because so much in the internet marketing space, we hear people say, oh, you can just live the laptop life like one person, doing it all. You don't need a team is gonna hold you down. And I really struggled with that because I was like, well, do I want a team? Growing a team felt like such an investment that I might not be able to walk away from or just create more responsibility. And then you were the first person I really heard say, if you think you're gonna grow an impactful business and do it the right way without a team, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And then you said, but don't worry, here's the process and the way to do it.
Yeah. Well, Emily, for you, when you were in that space where you weren't building a team, didn't you feel that constraint?
Absolutely.
And weren't you every day thinking I want to do more, I want to put more out there, how do you make this happen? And you run into a wall where what you can do on your own is constrained. And
yes.
you kind of run out of runway. Didn't you feel that?
I was in that exact ballpark, but what I kept telling myself is my business was different though.
Yeah.
And then you actually addressed that from stage. I think it was here at Funnel Hacking Live last year, and you said, oh, and if you think that this doesn't apply to your business, everyone thinks that. And I thought, oh, well,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I think, we live in a very interesting time where there's been the right amount of fictional entrepreneur stories, like the one guy who did it all. And then there's a ton of marketing around be a solopreneur, live the laptop lifestyle, feel this personal freedom. And then there's a lot of anti-team building stuff. You don't need a team. You don't have to have a team. You don't need the responsibility. But the reality is unless you're an entrepreneur that's really looking for a lifestyle business, if you're an entrepreneur who says I only want to go this far, I don't want to do that much, I only want to support certain things, I don't want to make that much money, literally those are the things you have to be thinking to commit to not building a team. Because you can push far on your own. You can even push far on your own with contractors. But until you start building a team, there's no foundation around you. And people, it was interesting. You said it just now that, building a team felt like way too much responsibility. Mm-hmm. I look at it completely differently. I look at it as when you don't have a team, you are as exposed as you possibly could be. Because when there's no team, if something happens to you, everything stops, everything goes down. Nothing is going to continue forward. When you build a team and you have an infrastructure and people understand what they're doing and you're doing a lot less of what the company produces, you are way less exposed and a lot more safe.
And also when a lot of people are leveraging a software like ClickFunnels and they're able to generate a ton of business or leads at once, you can also be crushed by that amount of opportunity if you don't have the support to handle. But I do think for people watching, they're like, yeah, that's great. I'm on board. I want to build a team. But I don't know a thing about actually the process of leading a team.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, that there's a reason why there's not a lot out there about building a team. If we look at, I want to just talk about numbers for a second, because if you look at the entrepreneurial world, there's 29 million businesses in the United States, give or take a million, depending on whose numbers you look at. And of the 29 million businesses, 22 million are under $100,000 in revenue. So only 7 million businesses ever get over 100K. If you go all the way up to $1 million in revenue, it's about 24.5 million businesses out of 29 million are under $1 million in revenue. So if you want to market and sell and go out and make a ton of money selling to entrepreneurs, you sell the 22 million. You don't go to the 7 million or 5 million who are actually building teams. And one of the reasons why a lot of people don't talk about this is it's easier to sell other stuff to entrepreneurs. It's easier to give other stuff to entrepreneurs. And so many of us have the same belief system you do that, hey, if I build a team, it's going to be hard, it's going to increase responsibility, it's going to slow me down. That, let's be honest, it's a lot easier to tell you can do the opposite.
Yeah. Well, what advice do you have for someone who's just getting started? They're on that fence about, do I really build a team? Or do I keep trying to be in constraint where I'm at right now?
Like doing it all yourself?
Yeah.
So here's the advice I have. So first, niche down. And don't, because if somebody's just starting out, I think the biggest problem that entrepreneurs make is they try and make their product available to everybody, and they try and make it so they can sell everybody. And as a result, I think that's why 22 million people stay under 100 grand, because they are the solution for everyone. So first, niche down to the point where you define and unify your market. If you walk into a room of 100 people, you should be able to identify the 2 or 3 that are your market. If you walk into a room of 100 people and you think to yourself, 80 people could buy my product, you're doing it wrong. It's not the right way to do it. And if you're in that place where you're just thinking about building a team, here's the advice I give everybody. Do it before you think you should. Get that first person on board to help you. And that's a key distinction. One of the big issues that happens when entrepreneurs start building a team is they bring somebody onto the team that fills a function but doesn't change their life. Bring in the EA, the assistant, the person who's going to offload pressure and noise for you and make you more effective. Because at the beginning, you're doing everything. Like literally everything. You remember doing that, right? Yeah. Here's the problem. When we successfully start a business, we have to do everything. Successfully starting a business conditions us to do everything. So we have to break that operant conditioning of if I do everything, I'll be successful, and start asking for help in a transparent way and trusting that people will give it to us, and it happens.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you do. And if people want to learn more, where can they find you?
The easiest way to is go to the Momentum Podcast. So momentumpodcast.com, or we have a book called The Entrepreneurial Personality Type. You can go to freemomentumbook.com. Those are the best 2 ways.